Hello, welcome to Design the Solution. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to create a personalized plan that can scale as you do. So, Newton's law says that an object in motion will stay in motion, and an object at rest will stay at rest unless acted upon by an equal and opposite force. So, your starting point is your circumstance. Whether you are moving 1,000 miles a minute in a whirlwind, or if you are stuck in a rut, neither is good or bad. The fact is, you just need to start exactly where you are. The simple decision to start is that equal and opposite force that you're looking for. Because the meaning that you assign your starting point is what will either keep you as you were or give you the chance to move differently. And if you want to move differently, the thoughts that you own need to be stories around the goodness that validate your strength. Okay. They need to be stories that you can believe because belief is what will move you to act and create different results, to create that sustainable and satisfying life. So, this lesson is really all about application. It's about designing a solution to the problems that you've identified in your story. Simply put, application looks like gathering your requirements, it looks like sorting them out, planning your priorities, and acting on the plan. That's it. Now, up until this point, I have introduced you to a few different formulas and frameworks and I do plan to give you plenty more in the next module. But before I do that, I want to really challenge you to apply what you already know and what I've already shared so that you can sort through your own needs and priorities and shape your personal action plan. Now, if you haven't already completed your assessments or started to practice using the model, I do want you to interrupt your whirlwind. Okay. I want you to get yourself out of the rut specifically by blocking your calendar and giving yourself 48 hours to get started. Now, this may be a weekend. This may be a few hours sprinkled over the course of a week. Whatever it is, make the decision to block your calendar and give yourself time so that you can actually start working on your personal action plan. Because your personal action plan is your roadmap, okay? It's the roadmap that you're going to follow as you're manifesting this life that is more balanced, the business that you want to sustain. All right. So I want you to download your personal action planning guide that is in this lesson. It is a step by step workbook that will help you to prioritize your goals. It will walk you through time and energy budgets, how to identify the support that you need and to get it in place, making money moves, and also what are the next best steps that you need to take quarter over quarter for the upcoming year. Okay, so this is your asset. And it includes different brain training exercises. All right, so here are the main sections of your planning guide. You're going to be focusing on vision mapping, really looking at that holistic scope. I make it really easy for you to think through the various areas of your life that perhaps you haven't thought through yet to envision, what do I want this to feel like? What do I want this to look like? What is the life I want to sustain? And then there's actually an exercise called wanting from a place of abundance. Oftentimes, when we want something, it is because we perceive that we already lack it. We perceive we don't have it. And therefore, if we get it, then somehow it will complete us. It will make us more whole. It will make us a better version of ourselves. The problem with that is it actually leads to an insatiable appetite. How you're running toward a goal and you feel like the end keeps moving. You think, okay, I'm going to get this degree. And once I get this degree, I will feel this way, and then you get it and then you realize you're not satisfied, and so okay, I want to get this job and I'll feel this way, and you get that job and you're not satisfied. You're like, you know what, I need to build a company because I want to feel this way, and so you build that company and you're still miserable. And over you experience this insatiable appetite, and you almost are afraid to want, because even when you get it, it's never enough. This exercise meets that right at its root, because it helps you to understand how to want, because want and desire is wonderful. We should do it. That is the force of creation. But how to do it from a place of abundance, not because of a perceived lack, but because of a known abundance that you already have. Okay. We also, in this planning guide, we go through exercises related to time and energy tracking. We talked a lot about capacity, and do you know how to measure your capacity? Do you know how to re-energize yourself? So these exercises are all about getting that locked down. Securing your support, who's on your team. We started the conversation about scope with thinking about who's on your team across your life. What are the priorities and the goals that you want to reach together, right? So these exercises are really going to help you to solidify your team players. There's a section on making money moves, because the life that we want to sustain is also a life that we want to be able to afford. Okay. I know that I have shifted my relationship with money so drastically over the course of my journey, and I continue to evolve. But coming from a place and a background where my great grandparents were sharecroppers. My grandfather had a fourth grade education. He built his livelihood through pastoring a church, and he was an amazing spirit and an amazing steward of the Lord, but also not very astute when it came to financial matters. Okay. I did not get the acumen and the teaching as a child growing up. I had to go out and get it. I had to go out and find it. And so these exercises are really hitting the money stories that you might have that could be keeping you stuck. And then finally, Q1 through Q4 actions and timelines. So at this point, we have taken all of the thoughts, we've identified this whole module is all about identifying what is the need, what is the desire, what are the requirements for that desire. But at this portion, you're putting it into action. You're saying, okay, next 3 months, this is what we need to be focusing on. These are the biggest needle movers. These are the things that will take the least amount of energy and have the largest impact. What does that look like? And I'm going to tell you, this has also changed the game for me. Okay. I started not only planning my quarter for work, but I plan my quarter for my life. I plan my year, my 10-year goals. And so everything that has allowed me to find a way to regain balance in my life and prioritization, these are all the activities and the exercises that I want you to take. So make sure you download that. All right, so here's the thing. I want you to keep taking action. Fail fast. And give yourself some compassion and some patience, and get really, really curious. Okay. When it comes to estimating how much time you think something will take, how much energy you think it will take, how much money you think it will take, how much support you think it will take, remember that the thoughts that have created the results that you have right now likely will flare up, and they may try to dissuade you to say, "Ooh, no, I don't want to get it wrong. Ooh, no, I don't want to disappoint this." You got to move past that. You have to be willing to simply make a decision and make a guess and make an estimate and be okay with being wrong. Because that's the whole point. Life is simply an experiment. Okay. So be willing to experiment. I cannot stress that enough. You're going to learn more about this in the upcoming module when we start to talk about sprinting. But this idea of focusing yourself in a particular direction for a particular period of time and being okay to stop, being okay to go back and look and learn and see what happened. Like, this is the cycle. Break the idea that there is a specific destination. Okay. I want to invite you to consider that we are always cycling. We are always in motion. We are always in a state of becoming. And the more that you can lean into these practices, the more you can lean into these frameworks and these tools, you'll really start to embrace that the destination, the goal is self mastery. That is it. Okay. So, in order to do that, you have to be willing to guess sometimes. You have to be willing to be wrong and then to practice and experiment to get it right. So, here are the action steps I want you to take. Really simply, download your personal action planning guide. I want you to pay attention and record your time and energy requirements for a week. Okay. Work through the sections, but also just pay attention to yourself. Don't try to change anything, but I want you to take action of building your own awareness and documenting it in your workbook. And then as you move through that, complete out the guide. So eventually you will craft your end-to-end personal action plan. And I definitely want to invite you to check in, schedule a coaching session. Let me support you. Let me help you so that you can get through this. Okay. Now, for those who want a little treat, I want to share a poem that I wrote called Life is Not a Spectator Sport. Because if you find yourself getting stuck and not wanting to make a decision, if you find yourself telling yourself that I'm moving too fast, I don't know where to start, ultimately you're in the whirlwind and you're not making a decision. I want to encourage you to make a decision and to remember this. Anytime you find yourself in a ready, set, wait type of scenario, don't wait. Start anyway. This is called Life's Not a Spectator Sport. Because I know you want to do it right. I know you want to wait and watch and see all the ways it was done wrong just so you can avoid the fall. So you can sidestep that pile they built high with failed attempts and, bypass that pit they slipped in and call it research or gathering the facts. Collecting other people's opinions like ornaments, they decorate your indecision as you objectively observe yourself swaying in the wind like sapling branches, bent but unbroken and unsure of which way to grow. I know you want to do it right. You want to weigh the pros and cons to justify your qualms with wanting too much. And then you fire off questions at your confidence like it's target practice, just to make sure you can handle it when someone else doubts your desire to dream bigger than their eyes could ever see because you haven't quite decided whether or not you believe in magic. And instead of wondering why not, you wonder why try if I can't prove on paper the validity of my claim that I'm worth designing, programming, and playing my own game. What if I get it wrong? You say. Because you just want to do it right. You just want to know what you're doing. You just want to have it figured out before anyone else can figure out that you tried to work it out without knowing all the details. Because what if they knew? What if they saw you the way that you do? They might be tempted to doubt you as much as you do. So you schedule out your ambitions for a day in your future. After you have had time to learn everything you ever could about anything you ever would want to do, so there'll never be any doubt that whenever you try anything for the very first time, you'll be the only one who ever got it right on the very first try. But see, success is built on a pile of failures and lessons that you can't borrow from window shopping or theorizing the difference it could have made if maybe you would have known just a little bit more. So what if? What if you just decided to do everything you already knew? What if you started exactly where you were, knowing you were so much further than you ever even gave yourself credit for and acknowledged. It's you who's the key that will unlock all of the doors to self mastery you've been longing for. What if you trusted yourself? Just long enough to realize that not knowing everything all the time really, honestly, isn't so bad. Because if we're being honest, how much would you really still risk if you knew what it would require of you? Would you still accept that lesson you so desperately needed if you knew how much of you it needed to? How much wisdom is already stored in your mind, compartmentalized, left collecting dust unutilized, rotating on a conveyor belt of, I still don't know enough. I still don't know enough. I still don't know enough. You know, it's too bad life's not a spectator sport. Otherwise, you just might be its biggest fan. Don't be a fan, be a liver. Until the next lesson. Bye.